What's up, everybody? Welcome. Thanks for joining me here at Moment of Clarity. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna place. I'm gonna. I got a great clip for you. It's a montage of all the all the most racist, insane shit Joe Biden has said. I got that coming up in a minute. Also, going to get into how Google is just like full on 100% CIA now. They're not even hiding it. It's like on their fucking LinkedIn profiles. You just go, just type in top Google employees, and it's like, I was at the CIA for 32 years. I got to hold the gun that shot Kennedy, and now I get to run Google. So I'm gonna have that proof that Google is just CIA. That's coming up. Of course, we'll continue our ongoing series on the 43 reasons capitalism is unredeemable. If you can handle that, if that scares you, then I'm sorry. Give it a chance. See if you disagree. If you disagree, fucking type in a comment. It's not that tough. But thanks for being here, folks. I really appreciate it. I am the most censored comedian in America. I don't think I know of any other comedian who's had thousands of videos banned globally on YouTube. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. And please click subscribe and like and thumbs up so that we can fight, so that we can wage war against the algorithm. That's the thing. People think the robot war is on the horizon. It's years away. We're going to fight the robot. No, it's here, man. They're already running the algorithms. They're already deciding that you shouldn't see things or hear things. I'm in a battle with robots every day. They're called algorithms, AI, all that shit. Every day. You thought they'd look like Terminator? No, they don't fucking look like Terminator. They're in the computer. I'm not nerdy enough to know better technical terminology for that, but they're fucking in there, man. They're in the computer. Okay? Don't you love that all the people that were totally fucking insane in like the 80s and 90s, their exact sentiment, like in the 80s and 90s, the guy that was like, dude, they're in the computer and they're watching you, man. They always had one eye bigger than the other. They're watching you. And they're fucking out of their mind. And you'd meet like one of those at a party and you'd be like, oh, I see their spinach dip. I got to go over there. And then you run for it. That guy is he's right about everything. I don't know that he was right then, but he's right now. He was just ahead of his time. Maybe they were time travelers. Maybe all the people in the 80s and 90s with one eye bigger than the other, they were all time travelers, hadn't washed their hair in a long time. I don't know why that goes with really understanding what the fuck is happening in our society or being ahead of your time, but something about not washing your hair makes all the difference. Anyway, maybe I'll stop washing my hair and see if I can get a little smarter. That might help. But like I said, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. Please hit subscribe, hit thumbs up, hit share, all those things. By the way, I'm completely independently funded. I'm not funded by any states, by any corporate entities. I just I do this for you, and I have my other show, The Most Censored News, that I do with Mint Press, another great independent organization, which I'll be talking more about them in a moment because they are the ones that did the research for the article about how Google is heavily CIA now. So I'll be talking more about Mint Press. But anyway, oh man, I forgot to go live on Rockfin. That means they missed that. All right, we're live on Rockfin now as well, but that means they missed that opening rant. Rockfinners. Anyway, let's begin with, and this will segue nicely into how racist Joe Biden is, how racist the Democrats are in general. Now, the reason I would do an episode or part of an episode, like I said, I have other stories coming up, but part of an episode on how racist the Democrats are, and not do a segment on how racist the Republicans is because I think if you got like a quarter of a brain cell left, the Republicans are racist. They're just kind of out racist. Like they don't like. It's just their version of racism is just Donald Trump being like, fucking Haiti's a shithole country. All those black countries are. People are coming from shithole countries. And like, that's their version. They're just out with it. Whereas the Democrats like to pretend, oh, we're the fluffy, helpy kind of people. We care about about other people, about oppressed people, about those who have a tougher time in our society. So I feel like you need a segment on here and now and again, here and again on how racist the Democrats are. Whereas if you got half a brain cell, you don't really need a segment on how racist the Republicans are. It's just it's almost worse. The Democrats are fucking the ones lying to you in a way. Like if you're gonna be racist, fucking be racist to my face, so I can go, oh, I need to not talk to you anymore. All right, I need to. Is that spinach dip? And I wander off into that side of the room. Like I need to know. It'd be nicer to know that up front. Anyway, so we're gonna get to Joe Biden in a minute, but here is this is an interesting anniversary to celebrate. 26 years ago, Bill Clinton signed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. By the way, I've said this before. Anytime they try and get you to fall asleep halfway through the name of the fucking act, they're pulling some shit over on you. All right. If it has like more than 2 syllables, then they want, if it's got like 3 words that all have 7 syllables, then they're trying to get you to not read. They want you done before you get to the end of the name. The Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation, face on desk. So he passed this, and also, it's bullshit. Anytime, personal responsibility. Go fuck yourself. Everybody's trying fucking hard out there, you rich fucks. All right. The vast majority of the world is trying to do their best. Anyway, so 26 years ago, he signed that act, which instituted work requirements for welfare. He trotted out a woman named Lily Hardin as an example of a reformed welfare queen. Now, I should pause here and say that the entire term and the entire idea of welfare queens was bullshit to start with. I believe it was instituted or they began talking about it. They began using it in the 80s with Reagan, and they would point to they point to a couple of examples, and they'd go, "Look, there's a welfare queen. This is someone who lives high on the hog, and they're just fucking they have a great life. They have a fucking Chevrolet car, and they're all on welfare. They're just they have a giant house and a boat, and then their boat has a car, and it's all on welfare." Anyway, people have done whole articles debunking all of that shit. Every welfare queen they could find was bullshit. Welfare in America is not that much money, and generally it is basically goes to people that are struggling. Oh, it was a Cadillac. Someone's telling me it was a Cadillac, not a Chevrolet. Yeah, it makes more sense. Cadillac car, and everybody, and it's going to people that are very much struggling. There's no one that's fucking running around on all this like crazy money. And if they did, for the people that are welfare scam artists, they're getting like a few bucks. And it's like, okay, that's the price to pay. You're going to have some scam artists in this world. That's a tiny number of the amount of good that welfare is doing. So like the idea you find one person, like imagine if they did the same with Wall Street. Imagine if they found one person conning Wall Street and they were like, we need to get rid of Wall Street. I would be down with that. But instead, how much con artistry goes on in Wall? The entire Wall Street is a Ponzi scheme. All right. I've gone into details. It's as now you can tell that Wall Street is literally like the dictionary definition of a Ponzi scheme. I don't mean like my definition of a Ponzi scheme. Like, I don't like those people, so it's a Ponzi. No, like the fucking literal definition of a Ponzi scheme is what Wall Street is what our stock market has become. But so, yeah, if you really wanted to go, they don't want to go after con artists. They want to go after poor people. You see, what they call con artists are really what the reality is poor people. And that's what they want to go after. So anyway, so just know that the welfare queen idea is bullshit. But, okay, so he trotted out Lily Hardin as an example of a reformed welfare queen. She died in 2014, and here's the article of Clinton hugs former welfare recipient Lily Hardin, and finally she got off welfare because they added these work requirements to get your welfare. And here's the reality. Her minimum wage job ultimately didn't pan out the way she thought it would during the Clinton press conferences, and she was unable to get financial assistance following Clinton's bullshit act. In 2002, she suffered a stroke. Because Clinton ended a program that helped her, she no longer qualified for Medicaid and couldn't afford a $450 a month life-saving prescription. She died at 59 in 2014. She died at age 59 because she couldn't afford a $450 prescription. In the land of the fucking opportunity, right? In the land of golden roads, just skipping down the golden roads. That's the reality. A fucking $450 prescription, couldn't get Medicaid anymore because Bill Clinton's program kicked her off. Like, it's just sick. It's sick. And these people are fucking sociopaths, and that's what they should be called. And anytime you and to me, what's so important about this story particularly is that it shows the facade of the Democrats. The Republicans are, yes, and of course they had the Republican Congress all voted for this as well, right? So they're fine with this, of course. And would anyone be surprised if Republicans were not fine with kicking everyone off of welfare, kicking them off of Medicare, watching people die at age 59 because they didn't have a $500 a month for a prescription? Like, Republican Congress, of course. But the problem is you have a lot of liberal America that believes that the Democrats are different. They believe that Bill Clinton is different, and Joe Biden is different, and Barack Obama is different, and Hillary Clinton is different. And this is the fucking reality, that to get this stuff passed, it almost always has to come from Democrats. Because when the Republicans go up and say, we got to kick everyone off Medicaid, you have pushback. You have pushback from liberals. You have pushback from people that go, that's fucked up. Whereas when Bill Clinton and Joe Biden and Barack Obama say this shit, people go, well, clearly that's the best positive way to do these things. So I thought this would segue nicely into this montage that I just stumbled across that someone put together of various racist shit Joe Biden said, various horrible shit he said. It's about 2 minutes long. Various because they're showing very tiny clips. They're not giving a if you were to show the paragraph long clips of Joe Biden and all the awful shit he said, you would have a montage that lasted hours. But in this case, this is just tiny little clips. And I'll interrupt occasionally to clarify or maybe to give some context. But so let's see here. And a lot of these I hadn't seen. If these were the same old clips that just surface all the time, then that'd be one thing. But a lot of these I hadn't seen.
No, Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage.
All right, so that's just a quick. That actually is not about racism, but it's about being against oppressed peoples, and of course, that's him saying he's opposed to gay marriage. So, as like you've seen for the past. What? When did gay marriage get passed? I don't know, mid Obama presidency. It didn't get passed, right? It was Supreme Court. And that's a big point because when people point to the Democrats, oh, there was no audio, they say. Does no one else have audio either? Volume is too low. Oh, maybe it was. All right, I'll play it again. Not sure why that had no audio. Let's try this again. And of course, let me know if it still has no audio.
Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage.
All right, did you hear that time? Let me know whether you can hear that. All right, so now you're hearing it. That anyway, it was just Joe Biden saying that. I don't think there's any way to turn it up. Oh, okay, there's a way to turn it up. So it was Joe Biden saying that he doesn't support gay marriage, and a lot of people are running around, saying that the Democrats, they're the group that got gay marriage passed, right? No, it's the Supreme Court. It wasn't the Democrats. And then actually the day it passed and Obama was in office, they lit up the White House in like a rainbow flag colors. And it's like, you fucking assholes. You fought against gay marriage this whole time. It was the Supreme Court that made it legal. All right. I'll play it again. I think I have the audio thing fixed, but I won't explain it again because that'd be too much explanation.
No, Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage.
Contributors, and the only reason, see, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself.
That's him saying he was ready to prostitute himself to the big guys for the money. Now, I don't know in that clip what he was referring to, but it doesn't fucking matter. That's him admitting that he's willing to do whatever the fucking money has him do. And from day one, he was in Congress for, something like 732 years. And the biggest funders of Joe Biden were credit cards and banks throughout his career. So do you think he did what the credit card companies and the banks wanted? Fucking yeah. That's who he is. That's who he was. I mean, his brain's not there anymore. But back when he was a person, that's who he did. That's what he was. Not prostitute himself. Anyway, and I talked about it the other day on the live stream. He created the college loan crisis. So when people are so excited, Joe Biden's canceling $10,000 of college loan debt for some people, he fucking created it because he made it impossible to declare bankruptcy and get out of the college loan debt. All right, so let's keep going.
It turns out one of my closest friends ends up being Strom Thurmond. So it's a very nice introduction. It could have been shortened a great deal by saying Joe Biden is here tonight. He works for Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond was one of the most racist piece of shit Congress people that ever lived. He was a Dixiecrat. The image they have up in the corner above Joe Biden is of Strom Thurmond speaking at an event with a KK Klansman, a KKK man, in robe, sitting next to him on the dais. Like that was the lineup. The event said Strom Thurmond, guy in a Klan outfit, was the next speaker at the fucking event. And this is the person Joe Biden was best friends with, agreed with, fucking gave the eulogy at his funeral. Biden gave the eulogy at Strom Thurmond's funeral. And, he loved to talk about how, like, I like to get stuff done with the other side of the aisle and with people that, like me and Strom Thurmond were able to work together on things, even though we disagreed on. There's a certain level of asshole you shouldn't work with. Like, look, I'm willing to work with people on things like freeing Assange, like freeing Julian Assange. I'm willing to work with Republicans on freeing Julian Assange if they actually stand for that. I'm not willing to work with fucking Klansmen. I don't care if a goddamn Klansman shows up and goes, I really want to free Julian Assange. I'd be like, is that spinach dip over there? I got to go to the other side of the room because fuck you and fuck this. You got to have a line, folks. You got to have a line. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'd never seen some of these clips, so I realized this is. And by the way, I did talk about this stuff before Joe Biden got elected. I'm not like revisionist. Like let's criticize Joe Biden now that he's in office. No, this is. I talked about all this stuff before he won, but this is the first time I've seen some of these clips.
In a nutshell, the president's plan doesn't include enough police officers to catch the violent thugs, not enough prosecutors to convict them, not enough judges to sentence them.
Throughout his career in Congress, Joe Biden voted for and oftentimes wrote the bills, the laws, the everything to make our police state one of the biggest police states in the world. Joe Biden was behind a lot of that. He notoriously said, like, every cop bill you can come up with, I want to be the face of it. Like, this guy loves cops more than he loves his own fucking junk. All right. This guy is the biggest bootlicker you've ever met. And anyway, that was him saying, and when he says violent thugs, yeah, that sounds nice. That's good for propaganda. That's good for rhetoric. We need to convict these violent thugs. What he really means is black people. Because if you look at all the judges and the cops and the bills and the convictions and the not enough lawyers to convict them, what that ultimately did was put just millions of more non-white, per capita, more non-white people in prison. And yes, it also went after the poor as well, but we have a racist police system, so it went after, disproportionately went after people of color. And so even though he's saying violent thugs, everything he did didn't stipulate only violent thugs. In fact, here in a clip, maybe that's the next clip, they talk about drugs, which is not violent thugs, right? Somebody doing some drugs, not a violent thug. In fact, it's the opposite of a violent thug. Somebody doing something to their own body so they can have a little trip in their mind. All right. I'm not saying all drugs are good for you. Some of them are quite bad for you. But what happened to your own body? Huh?
We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. What?
Oh, damn it. I just played the audio without the video. Well, you get the point. Man, I'm fucking up this one a lot. But anyway, I'll show you. That was the video, was him talking right there. But anyway, he's saying, when he says caught with that, he holds up his fingers like this. And he's talking about a certain amount of either crack or cocaine, I believe he was talking about. And he's saying that you get caught with this tiny little amount, you're in jail for 5 years no matter what. Doesn't matter if your life is fucked. Doesn't matter if the cops beat the shit out of you. There's so many extenuating circumstances. And of course, this comment is all the funnier considering, or all the more horrific, considering he has a son who has talked a lot about being a crack addict and being a drug addict. And Joe Biden certainly didn't grab his son and run to the prison and say, lock him up for 5 years. So clearly, Joe Biden is what they call a hypocrite. He doesn't want that to happen to his son. And in fact, if his son had been caught by the police, I don't actually know. I think he was arrested once, wasn't he? But I guarantee you, Joe Biden called him up and said, let my fucking son go. And I guarantee you, Hunter Biden said, do you know who my dad is? Because it goes along with the racist policies. It is, let's lock up all of the people that I'm never going to associate with, black people, poor people, Hispanic people. Let's lock all of them up for having the tiniest amount of drugs. Furthermore, he's a hypocrite because what the fuck do you think he's on right now? What kind of prescription drug shit do they have him on where one day you can't understand a word he's saying, and the next day he's got wide eyes and he all of a sudden he's speaking clearly like he's on cocaine or something. It's clearly because he's on some kind of crazy prescription drugs. I'm not saying they're illegal. They may very well be legal, but what's the fucking difference? You're locking up someone for 5 years for having a tiny little bit. It's so fucked, man. These people are sociopaths. What you call a sociopath? They have no empathy for others.
Nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. Why have I been so reluctant, so persistent in not providing aid to the people of Serbia, who are many good people? Why? Because until they look in their hearts, they can never cure themselves of the disease that they are the oppressed.
God.
Dude, that's one of the most fucked up quotes of all of them. That they are the oppressed. The disease that they're oppressed. Like, as if there's no one that's oppressed where it's not their own doing. This is the kind of shit like when Kanye West said that slaves made a choice to be slaves. It's like, that's how fucked up this Joe Biden quote is. No, fucking oppressed people, destroyed peoples, the people we bomb, the people we help bomb. And he's saying, oh no, there is no such thing as being oppressed. That's all in your heart, in your mind. Bullshit. Yeah, sure. There are a tiny percentage of those who are oppressed out there. Maybe fucking had some problem in their mind, mentally ill, where they chose to remain in a situation. A tiny percentage. But for the vast majority, no, they're just fucking oppressed. It's like, it's so, and honestly, I don't know if he defends his police state bullshit. In case you still don't know it, Joe Biden is responsible for doubling the prison population in America, making us the largest prison state in the world. We have more prisoners per capita and more prisoners per sheer number than any other country in the world. And that's Joe Biden's doing. He helped write the bill, like he was talking about this much drugs. Well, that doubled the prison population. So, yeah, this is actually textbook sociopathy, having no care for victims of anything, having no consideration for those who are harmed and have tough lives. This is like the fucking definition of sociopathy. And there's something else to be learned from this. You're seeing Biden over the many years. What has he been in Congress since the 1970s? This is the type of beliefs, this garbage he's spouting and he's done through his entire career, that gets you up the ladder in the U.S. fucking governmental system, in the U.S. federal government, behaving like that. Behaving like, say, Cynthia McKinney or Alan Grayson or some of the Congress people that were a little better, and in some cases a lot better. That gets you drummed the fuck out. That gets you pushed out of our Congress right quick. And if you behave like Joe Biden and you act like this with these type of beliefs, that gets you up the ladder.
Awful thing to say. If Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot.
Now, I like how he added rose up 300 feet. He realized what he was saying was truly fucking horrific after the first half of his sentence. So he added in rose up 300 feet. The real sentence is if Haiti sunk into the ocean, it wouldn't matter a whole lot. How fucking horrific and racist is that statement? To me, that statement is more racist than Trump saying shithole countries. At least it's on par. You got to at least say that's equivalent racism right there. I mean, why is Haiti the way it is with so much poverty and violence? Because of U.S. oppression. We've done everything we can, and Western, and if you include France and others, we've done everything we can to crush Haiti time and again. And in their when they finally had a democratically elected leader, Aristide, we fucking kidnapped him on a U.S. military plane and flew him to Africa and dropped him off there in order to allow a coup to take place in Haiti. That's how we deal with Haiti. The Clintons were also responsible in exploiting and gutting Haiti. And the other thing you should know, in case you don't know Haiti's history, they are one of the few, maybe the only country that is that was a slave state that rebelled and won their freedom through revolution. And they were the first nation to be basically run by the slaves that had a revolution and beat out their oppressors, the French. And they ended up being in deep debt to France for years because they were ordered to pay France for their fucking freedom because they had stolen the slaves from France. And then you have piece of shit parasites like Joe Biden saying if Haiti sunk into the ocean, it wouldn't matter a whole lot. I mean, straight up sociopath.
President Joe Biden, how are you? Nice to see you.
I was suggesting we bomb Belgrade. I was suggesting that we send American pilots in and blow up all the bridges on the Drina.
I think the one place where the greatest consternation would be caused in the short term for admission would be to admit the Baltic states now in terms of NATO-Russian, U.S.-Russian relations. And if there was ever anything that was going to tip the balance, were it to be tipped in terms of a vigorous and hostile reaction, I don't mean military, in Russia, it would be that.
Okay, that's a good one to end on because someone's asking for the link to the video. I'll put it in the comment thread right now. Anyway, that's a good one to end on because it he said he's talking about Baltic states being admitted into NATO, and if anything were to tip the war towards a vigorous and angry response, or whatever word he uses, and he says not militarily, but yes, militarily, it would be adding those states to basically the states around Russia to NATO. And he knows this, and he's saying it. What year is that? 97? Does it say at the top? I think it says 97, but it only shows half the number. But anyway, clearly a while ago, and they knew what they were doing would cause a military response from Russia, and Russia again and again and again. Sorry, just let me throw in here. I don't support Russian bombing. I don't support Russian invasion, but I'm just giving you the facts. Russia again and again said that Ukraine joining NATO or facilitating NATO or having NATO missiles and training in their country was a red line for them. And clearly here, Joe Biden is knowing that surrounding Russia with NATO states is going to evoke military action. And yet they did it anyway, because they knew. They knew what was going to happen, and they did it. Because they wanted this proxy war. The U.S. oligarchy wanted this proxy war. But anyway, folks, that is a nice montage of so much awful racist shit by Joe Biden. And I thought it was a nice mix of all of his various awful positions. And you know, I thought it went well with the last piece about Bill Clinton, because often it's a Democrat that has to get all of this horrible shit through, because they're the ones that can rally more of Congress for right-wing policies. They're the ones that passed NAFTA. They're the ones that ramped up endless surveillance. They're the ones that continued so many of the wars. George Bush needed 9/11 to do all of these invasions and wars, whereas Obama and Biden, they just continue all of this bombing without some big, preceding event. And and gutting Medicare and Medicaid and gutting welfare. All these things are led by Democrats. But obviously, I'm not saying the Republicans don't do these things. The Republicans love doing these things. So giant tax breaks, the giving away of trillions of dollars to Wall Street. That was done under Obama. And then, of course, Trump did it again during COVID. But, it often is Democrats that lead the way on all this horrible shit. Trans-Pacific Partnership, which didn't end up going through because Trump refused to, Trump pulled us out of it just because he hated the fact that I think Obama had negotiated it. But Trans-Pacific Partnership was the most horrific, awful, massive trade deal. It was NAFTA on steroids and led by Democrats. So anyway, I could go on and on, but you get the point. All right, let's see. Can we do one more story before we're headed? So the live stream continues at rumble.com/Lee Camp. That's I'll put that link in the chat as well. I'm going to do one more story before we go to just Rumble. But let's see. Let's get to. Well, no, I'll save Google getting filled by the CIA. We're not till next episode. We'll do that. They'll do that this episode, but in a moment. The proof that Google is now just like packed full of CIA. But anyway, this is I thought this was a nice analysis. So we have Joe Biden saying he's canceling $10,000 of college loan debt for some people. You can apply for it. The application process ends at the end of this year. So if you want to apply for it, you better figure out how to do that. And the reason they make you apply for it and they don't just do it is because they're hoping a lot of people just fail to apply for it. And I'm saying the devil's in the detail. Maybe a lot of people learn about how to apply for it, and maybe they fucking don't tell anybody. They're like, all you have to do is just go to www.com and you can sign up. Listen, everybody, if you want to get rid of $10,000 of your student loan debt, go right now to www.student.com, okay? And then put in the social security number of your mailman and his wife. Okay, that's how to do that. Do it quick. Do it now. Otherwise, because it shuts off tomorrow at 5 p.m. Anyway, I fear that's how it's going to be. But that being said, this is a great analysis of how student costs, college costs, have skyrocketed over the years in the United States. And this is just talking about University of California tuition. So these are public universities in California, the University of California system. So 1868, the Organic Act charters the University of California, creates Board of Regents and everything. 1897, financial aid is established for needy and deserving students. 1921, though tuition is still free. So from the beginning, it's free to be a college student. But yet they still establish a entity to help those who have trouble affording being in college. I guess getting to it, room and board, books, those kind of things. But the tuition is free. That's how it starts. In the beginning, they're like, let's just get everybody educated. How's that sound? 1897, financial aid. Oh, sorry, I did that. 1921. 1921, though tuition is still free, California residents are now required to pay an incidental fee of $25 per year. All right, so as of 1921, which is only 100 years ago, it's not like 1,000. As of 1921, the cost is $25. Wait, is that? Yeah, $25 per year. Okay. Tuition for non-residents is $75 per year. 1956, the incidental fee is $84 per year. I'm kind of interested. Let's see if I can look it up quickly. $25 in 1921 adjusted for inflation. It would be $413, according to Purchasing Power, $413 today. So for the people who just yell, that's not adjusted to inflation, keep in mind, right now, today, it'd be like going to college for $413. Like today. Your entire year of college, $413. So let's continue. Let's see. The incidental fee then became, in 1956, became $84 per year. Tuition for non-residents was $300 per year. Tuition is still free for California residents. So as of 1956, still free for California residents. That's really not that long ago. Your parents were around, likely, depending on how old you are. If they weren't, then I'm sorry for your loss. I don't know what that means. How could you have lost them in 1956? Well, I guess anyway. Still free in 1956 for California residents. 1960, the California Master Plan, largely developed by Clark Kerr, supports keeping the UC system tuition free for California residents, but maintains that the fees should be charged to cover costs coming from areas such as laboratories, health, and athletics. All right, so starting in 1960, they're like, well, we'll make tuition free, but you pay for the lab. You cover the lab. Lab costs. 1968, registration fee for all students is $300 per year. Non-resident tuition is $1,200 per year. Tuition still free for California residents. I want to see $1,200 in what year was that? 1968. Adjusted for inflation would be $10,000 today for a year of University of California as a student, but that's only out of state. In state, still free. So adjusted for inflation, $10,000 out of state, free in state. 1970, symbolic move away from free tuition for residents. Students now pay an additional education fee. The fee is $150 per year for an undergraduate, $180 per year for graduate students. Okay, so now this is key because although it's not much money, it's still just $100 whatever dollars, $80. But they're saying now in 1970, they're saying we're going to start charging you to be a student. We no longer want to just make sure everyone gets educated. We now want to have some sort of threshold for you to have to get into the college. 1974, the state funds approximately 32% of the University of California budget. 1975, annual tuition and fees for resident UC undergrads is $630. Annual tuition and fees for non-residents is $2,130. So that's 1975. Now, another key point is right in this time, the 1970s, is when the Powell Memo and the Trilateral Commission put out analyses and memo and a report saying that the problem with America, the reason there is a crisis, quote unquote, crisis of democracy, the reason that the ruling elite are having trouble governing and that there's strong activism, the hippies were very, powerful in their demonstrations in many ways. The reason things like that are happening is because people are getting too educated. They're getting too smart, and we need to make sure that college professors are not teaching people the reality, and B, we need to have fewer people going to college. So you see this ramp up of tuition along with that report, that analysis, which is public. You can go read the Trilateral Commission report right now. All right, so we're almost done here. 1985-86, annual tuition and fees for resident UC undergrads is total 1,296. Annual tuition and fees for non-residents is $5,000. That's 1985-86. So let's do one more adjusted for inflation. That was how much? $1,290. So $1,300 in 1985. Adjusted for inflation, $3,500 today. So if you were a student in University of California system in 1985, you were paying the inflation adjusted value of $3,500 a year to go to school. So by that point, by mid 80s, it had gotten to a point where it was there was a base level stopping the poor from going to college, stopping many middle-class people from going to college. And that's what the ruling elite wanted. That's what the oligarchy wanted, was to create kind of a, base level of you can't get that education. Now, then, of course, it becomes outrageous. 95, 96, the fees are $4,300. That's not adjusted for inflation. $12,000. Jesus Christ, what was that in 95? $12,000 in 1995 is $23,000 today. So even in 1995, if you were out of state, you were paying $23,000, the equivalent of $23,000 for 1 year of University of California. Then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, the USC President Robert Daines, and the CSU Chancellor strike a private deal called the Higher Education Compact to increase reliance on private student fees. Good old Schwarzenegger. Basically saying the state's not going to fund good colleges anymore. We're going to put it all the costs on the students. 2004-05, the state funds approximately 16% of the total UC budget. 2005, annual tuition and fees for resident UC undergrads is $7,400. Annual tuition and fees, $25,000 out of state. 2009, $10,000. Pushing annual costs $10,000. Jesus Christ. 2011, Occupy movement became powerful, and Occupy's message is discontent with budget cuts and rising tuition. 2011, for the first time, the total amount of UC students pay in tuition exceeds the amount of funding the UC system receives from the state. 2011, annual tuition and fees, $37,000 out of state. 2012, 42% of UC Berkeley students receive loans. So this is how you get, mid-2000s is how you really get this college loan crisis. 42% need to get loans to afford the cost of college. That's incredible. 2012, tuition is now the largest single source of core operating funds. 2013, approximate 64% have financial aid. And now, after 3-year tuition freeze, the UC Board of Regents voted to increase student fees by 5% over the next 5 years. So keep shooting up. Keep shooting up. Anyway, I thought that was a good analysis of how this is fucking, the hockey stick on the chart curve, how this is fucking shot up over the years and just reamed people. And of course, the U.S., and I'm going to get to the next story in a minute. The U.S. has also kind of a unique system. I haven't studied every country, but I know that many countries going to college, yes, there are plenty of colleges and the colleges are important, but in many countries, going to college is not like this. You can't get a good job without it thing. It's like some people want to learn more, and so they go to college. Many of them are free. Many of them are free for even people out of state. But the U.S. is kind of unique in the, if you don't go to college, you're not getting a high-paying job thing. There are many people that do quite well in other countries without going to college. All right, I gotta get to this next story about the CIA filling up all of Google. That's going to be at rumble.com/Lee Camp. So if you're watching on other streams, just go there, free to watch, rumble.com/Lee Camp. And it if you click subscribe, you can find about future videos. So I hope you'll do that. I also hope you'll support me at leecamp.net. That's where all the subscriber only